as an experiment continues to be just that, an experiment. And so Turkey's accession process in this new experiment is particularly important to watch in that sense. As the U.S. kind of leadership role begins to become larger and not just kind of the only superpower, there might be other players that are becoming more important in terms of the rise of Asia, China and India, the way they develop. It seems clear to me that Turkey has to begin to look not simply at Europe anymore. So the idea that Turkey would only stay focused on the West for this entire period of time is problematic. But I think there are many people that are concerned in terms of not necessarily that Turkey is on the right direction, because I think anybody who studies Turkey seems, at least from my perspective, Turkey can be on the right direction internationally, but domestic factors will pull Turkey back into a period that makes it particularly difficult moving forward. So I think it's a good transition into what we're going to be talking about. But I just wanted to kind of put it that way. I mean, it's very easy for me to sit here and say, yes, compared to Turkey during the Cold War, compared to Turkey 10 years ago, Turkey is on the right direction. Is that the right direction for where Turkey wants to be? Or, I mean, then it becomes a question of who's the judge here? And I think that that's what, in the international system right now, we're struggling with, to figure out according to who are we making that judgment statement. Right, and as you know, we will hold off just a few more minutes on the international aspects, but I think your question, sir, was particularly directed in the context of domestic developments. Is Turkey moving in the right direction? That's obviously a very subjective perspective. I mean, I would offer mine briefly that I have been impressed. Watching Turkish politics is like going on a roller coaster ride. It is breathtaking. Every 6 months to a year, there is some huge new crisis, and nobody knows how it will be solved, and there's implications that it could ultimately come to military coup or collapse of the country or God knows what else. But somehow, through most of these domestic crises, Turkey has emerged from them, generally taken, I think, the wiser, I don't want to say the very wise path, but the wiser of the paths rather than the worst of the paths, and possibly emerged stronger as a result of that. I mean, strengthening, I think, the rule of law with the crisis that we had over whether Abdullah Gül, as a former member of an Islamist party, would be an appropriate candidate for president, was a very big crisis, as you know, and it was ultimately resolved. And I think that issue now is past us. The question of whether the military could be brought to accountability for extra-legal operations, not only against Kurds, but interfering in the political order, is now an open issue. It's a huge crisis in the sense that now it's on the table. But I would argue that being on the table in itself is a huge advance. Whereas in so many other countries of the world, these are hidden and murky issues. It used to be, as you know, in Turkey referred to as derin devlet, the deep state. Nobody knew it was way down deep inside. Now it's on the table. And that is, I think, quite a remarkable development. And I think that Turkey, this ride of this curve on the roller coaster will also come out successful. Jos, did you? Yes, please.
Okay. I mean, in terms of getting rid of this deep state elements from the state, we are taking huge steps. There is no doubt about that. But I agree with you. I mean, AKP should make more reform instead of giving promises. I mean, we still have serious problems in relation to freedom of expression, freedom of religion, minority rights, and there are many other things, as well as we made a lot of progress. We should also say this. I mean, there are good things and bad things. And when it comes to Ergenekon, people criticize it that they said so many people included. I don't agree with them. I mean, Ergenekon is a much more bigger issue than it appears right now. So it should go beyond just trying the plots of coup d'etat. It should go JITEM's crimes, former crimes, you know, all this extrajudicial killings, etc. It should cover all of them, and I hope it is going to happen one day. Thanks.
I think we were all asked whether we are optimist enough. I'm on record as saying that I'm an optimist by nature, so I'm quite optimistic about Turkey's future. But as I tried to explain in my brief intervention, I have a lot of sympathy for all efforts to break down institutions or barriers that would prevent Turkey's way to the EU or to full democracy. But I'm sometimes a little bit worried that new obstacles are being put on the road by the new government as well. So it's not a 100% positive or 100% negative view. I tend to see the developments and the changes up to now as a positive one. But the time has come for this government, which might be in place for another 5 years, to make it more clear where exactly they want to take the country. So there's optimism, but there is a certain sense of uncertainty about where it's all going. So for the moment, yes, but you have to ask me in 5 years again.
Or 6 months from today. Another area, though, that I think is worth pointing at, and I'd welcome comments from members of our panel, is question. Yes. Yes, and the question, I don't know whether you all heard, basically was what are the attitudes of those who are presently detained for suspicion of Ergenekon crimes? What are their attitudes towards the West and the Western project?
I mean, when we say West, I think we should understand European Union process, and it is clear they are strongly against this process. I mean, they don't like it because European Union process, I'm sure Jos will say more than I would say on this. European Union process means the end of military guardianship. And Ergenekon was basically trying to restore this system. And I forget the name. I think it's a key name, Ergün Poyraz. He wrote, I remember his name now. He wrote many books. They were trying to portray AKP as a part of Jewish so-called conspiracy in Turkey, whereas Ergenekon lobbies are complaining about Turkey in abroad as Turkey, you know, fighting against Jewish interests or Israel, etc. So Ergenekon always played a dubious role. I mean, in Turkey, they accuse of AKP being pro-Western or too much Western-sided, etc. But in abroad, they said AKP is trying to get away from Europe.